Okay.
Hello.
How's it going, Andy?
Ah, crap. Just a second. Where are settings? Oh, poop. I got to figure out how to switch that off. Okay. Where are the settings then for the way this works? There we go. Settings. Okay. Say something again.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, good. I got to switch to the headphones.
Sounds legit.
I had to use my school computer. I brought it home because my main computer took a slight nosedive. So.
Aw, sucks to suck.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I think it's the same problem I had the last time that's fairly common with this model of laptop. So,
balls.
Yeah, so I'll have to take it in to get it fixed.
That's always a pain in the butt.
Yup. Luckily, I don't really play video games anymore, so I'm not really missing it all that much.
It's just a laptop, right?
Yeah.
No gaming on laptops anyway. It's an awful experience.
Yeah, it worked for a while.
The original BioShock I guess there's certain games that work better than others, but I got the original BioShock, and it was the first game I ever tried on this brand new computer that I spent like $1,400 on, which was a ton of money for me, and it didn't even play the game above like the lowest settings, and even then it looked like crap. It played like crap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I sold a game.
Which one?
I decided to get rid of Zangwo.
Zangwo is actually one that has quite a bit of staying power with people. Like I appreciate some aspects of it. I don't think I ever really gave it its fair shot.
It's all right, but
it's like a Stefan Feld game, though. It's really not up your alley.
Yeah, it's not up my alley, and Three Kingdoms was the game I wanted Zangwo to be.
Yeah, they're not even remotely close.
Exactly. So I don't know. I didn't feel any particular need to hang on to it, and I'm trying to kind of pair out some games. So, no worries.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. I'm either going to destroy everyone or lose horribly.
Or both.
Oh, yeah, probably both, realistically.
Are you guys still doing a lot of the 18xx ones?
Online?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Are you just playing some without Trent right now since he's gone?
Yeah, we ended up another guy I met at Gen Con actually asked to join our group, so I'm playing 2 right now. One with Joe Wiggins and Tony, who's kind of the 2 I started with, and then another one with Joe, Tony, and Matt. And then we got one 1830 that Trent's been playing that we couldn't finish in time, so that's on hold. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it. I get quite the craziness out. So
nice.
Fortnite though gets left in the dust because he doesn't want to play online. So me and
So
Trent are
it doesn't take much overhead. You know, it doesn't take like lots and lots of bandwidth. Only if you do like live chat, which you guys just have like a Slack channel, right? Just like
that's all we ever use.
Just a chat room. So
yeah, I'm not 100% sure I know what his reasoning for it was, but he didn't really want to, and I'm like, well, that's how these damn things can actually get played on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Because it sure as hell ain't going to happen at game nights.
No, especially like because I mean, you guys could crack out one because you show up about 6 o'clock. You could get one in, and that would be the only game you played.
Yeah, and it would be like super clicky. So I mean, I don't even really want to do that. So
no, well, and I think really you're getting it out of your system by doing it online.
Right. I mean, that's kind of where it's all.
Oh my God, man! Oh no!
But
I did not realize that Caroline signed into her email on my computer, and I was just like looking down, like, God, I have so many emails, and holy crap, Caroline gets like a buttload of emails, and a lot of them seem just like spam.
Yeah.
I hope they were like spam because I accidentally just deleted 4 of them.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that works.
Huh. Surprised I still have service. What?
He's talking to Trent.
Oh.
Because Trent's out in the boondocks. I actually I'm going camping this weekend with William, so.
Nice.
Because he really wants to do a lot of camping, and it's good father-son stuff, so. Oh,
Don't you think it's funny? Like, that's the way I felt, I think, kind of on my birthday was, like, normal people would want, like, a birthday party, and they'd want to have their friends over and have, like, a birthday cake and just talk and hang out. And I'm like, that sounds awful. Like, let's have a game day. Let's have people over to play things. Like,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of times it's like I'm celebrating my birthday for everyone around me. Because this is not how I have fun.
So it's like a Hobbit birthday, right?
I know half. Yeah, what is it? The Bilbo line. I know half of you, half as well as you, as I should, and I like half of you, half as well as you deserve.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the custom of Hobbit birthdays are really your time to like give on to others.
Oh yeah, you're the one who pays for everything. Yeah, your birthday sucks.
Your birthday, in retrospect, I'm sure you get more crap if you have a lot of friends that way, but because you have to get stuff on all their birthdays. But.
True.
Crazy. Let's see if I do any good. 1830. The mean one. All right. John's coming. Was he just running Ladies Head?
Yeah, he should be on his way. It sounds like Orrin Bishop, the designer of Steampunk Rally, like you look, that's what my hype is going to be.
Yeah.
But I figured, since I basically feel like I've already bought the game, I was like, hey, could you send me a review copy when this thing is like a real thing? And he's like, yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to pressure Clay on the Lignum thing, but I'm hoping he remembers to send this one.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, we should seriously start, I mean, I think sponsorship is going to be in our near future here. I think that, it would be an extra little bit of work to mention it, and of course, like, I would become a patron of whatever spot that that sponsors us, like immediately. So, I mean, I would immediately start scratching their back. But like, from what I understand, like within podcasting, if you can get, dude, I just checked our feed. We've had, since we started this podcast, there have been 600,000 hits on our feed. Like that's a lot, Yep. And that's, if anybody, just there's lots of different ways that people can listen to the podcast that don't involve like downloading the entire thing. So, I mean, if they just use, like a browser, something that streams, it'll just hit the feed and it won't count as a download. So I don't know, man. And yeah, I think it'll be here in our future somewhere.
Yeah, and I got a fair amount of connections anymore, kind of within the heavy game community.
Yeah, going to HeavyCon, just that by itself, man, that's huge. So
I think I seriously gained like 15 to 25 Twitter followers after that.
Nice.
And
I gotta start tweeting, man.
I just do it because I don't have anybody like to talk to about games on a regular basis.
Well, I mean, I just have the same outlets you do, Andy. You're a member of all the groups I talk with, but
yeah,
I just I don't know. To me, it's not natural, to like I've never been much of a journal keeper, and I feel like it's keeping a little micro journal of your life. And I understand there's a lot of cool things people can do with tweets and things, and it's really more about being connected, to your base,
right?
Whoever that would be, for whatever reason. But it just is something where I feel like my communication, I want it to be more just like kind of like we do with the podcast, where we put it together, we put that out there, you can listen to it. That's how you can keep in touch with me.
Yeah. No, it's all cool. It's just different.
But it really is just old fashioned. And I'm glad that you're into it, man. I feel like, I need to make you like the face, the PR chairman of the Good, the Poor, the Ugly.
Yeah. I actually ended up with, when I checked, out of the ones that were following me, like 3 of them were game publishers now.
Oh, nice.
It was Academy Games, All Aboard Games, and some other one I don't remember now, but
that's legit.
So that is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What the crap am I? Oh, that's right.
Somebody said I sounded like well, I guess they said the whole panel sounded like we were drunk when we did the long view on Concordia.
Well, yeah, no more than normal. It seems like you guys have a good romp whenever it happens.
Yeah, no, boy. Yeah, that one was fun.
Oh,
they've all been so much fun.
Poor TC in the background sits there like, why am I having to be the responsible one? I should be the responsible one.
I don't know. I think that he really enjoys that. Like, I think that, just but it's weird. Like, he's definitely taking on that role. I don't think it's just something, I don't think any of the 3 of us is usually once, like just naturally becomes the responsible one. I think that he's definitely thrust into that position.
That was just funny because he comes off as this crazy guy. Like, if I'm being the responsible one, we've seriously gone off the rails.
TC has stories kind of like you, Andy, except TC's more just broadened his game taste, and you've more like just shifted.
Yeah.
So he, oh man, it'd be so funny. He says that one day he wants to come to HeavyCon and play like crap. What was it? He wants to play a game of Arkham Horror at HeavyCon.
Yeah, well, yeah.
John's here.
Dude, they did play Dune.
Yeah, they missed out on that. John.
Oh, they did. They did another game later.
I can see you guys, but I can't hear you. So give me some.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they ended up playing Dune.
I'll be right back, guys.
The next day, there was a group that played it, I think. So, but yeah, Trent missed out. That sucked.
What the fuck?
Oh, yay, my turn. Oh, what am I going to do next? Oh,
Yo. I'm trying to get it so it'll show my face and I can see. Where should I put this camera, man? There just is not a good spot for it. I still haven't really cleaned a few things. See about this over here.
Okay, these are working. Okay. Oh, Greta, out, please. Jesus Christ. Huh? Yeah, I did. I got some headphones up there. Some of the headphones. What?
Oh, hear that? How's that? Well,
can you guys hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, you're coming in fine. I heard you earlier too, but
Jesus Christ, Joe. Fuck.
What?
Like I just straight up Joe face, like right up on you.
I'm trying to still get this thing, like, I don't know how to zoom it. So I know all I can do is just adjust this, which takes it like in and out of focus.
Sure.
Yo. Let me see if I can.
God, dude,
All right.
I can see your pores.
I'm also leaning up towards it. Like this is, yeah. I don't want it to be so zoomed. I think that's part of the reason it looks like crap. But I can't figure out how to use the darn thing.
Well, I mean, you could back up the camera, put it against your wall.
Well, that's kind of where it was before, but it's just not in a good spot.
Burp. Excuse me. Hey, is there a document somewhere?
Yep, it was shared a little while back.
Was it? Okay.
There you go. That I feel like
there it is.
I feel like there should be like a bug crawling along the top of my computer for it to be like that.
Wonder if there's a way for us to actually like record the video and everything too. We could post those on YouTube.
It actually is. It's these actually do post to YouTube and people watch them. Not many, but some people watch them.
Yeah. So
all right, tell me.
How do you record them though?
Oh, it is. It's already like being recorded.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, like live?
Yeah, like it's streaming live right now, and then it's available, I think, to watch even after that. So
I wonder where it
you know
streams
what?
to.
You could, Andy, could you in this Google Hangout here? Yeah. I think where it says, oh no, it's only under my YouTube. Here, let's see here. All right, edit, and here, let's see. Share on. I guess I can't. Will be shared when it goes live. Nah, it's not. It's not shared. So whatever. It's just on YouTube. I don't even know how to get to it. Yeah. Anyway, we'll just go with it though. If you guys are cool, we'll learn these things as we keep going. Sound legit?
Yep.
Hold on 1 second here.
And kitties.
Live streaming events in Creator Studio. Where the fuck is Creator? What? Hangouts on air with YouTube Live. Go to live streaming events in Creator Studio. Click new live event. Select quick. Give your live stream a title. Click go live now or enter in details to schedule your event for later. Use Hangouts to broadcast live. What is Hangouts on air? Do you have that option?
It's what we're using right now. Like this is a Google Hangout on air, meaning it's being broadcast to YouTube.
Okay. So then you go to new live event and select quick, and then using Google Hangouts on air.
Yeah.
Where the fuck? Where's quick?
It's just on the right hand side. You can.
No.
Oh, I don't think we have that.
You guys
Click
probably
quick.
don't because it's just in this Google Hangout.
Yeah, and then you give your live stream a title, and then you click go live now or enter in details.
It is seriously working right now. It's what we're doing, dude. It's how we're recording this.
Oh, what title did you give it?
I just always call them the name of the episode.
Oh.
It's the reason I started doing it is just to have a backup.
Yeah.
So
What is the name
I
of
do
this
this like
episode?
kind of like we used to do Mumble.
What
This
did
one
you-
is episode 118. Netdecking and homebrewing is what we've got right now. But I mean, without do we still want to do that?
Yeah, no, dude. Actually, it is on YouTube right now. I see it.
Nice. Cool. Well, you know what, Andy? Can you see it?
Where
Yeah, I
Can you
saw-
share a link to your Twitter right now?
Hold on 1 second here. Wait, why did I go to Netflix? Here, how about I give you the link because I think you're a little bit more popular than I am.
Yeah.
Sure, well, Andy's the popular one out of us on Twitter. I
That's
don't even know if I've logged
I'm
into my
sexy.
Twitter. Yes, that's right, Andy. You're the sexy one. Andy is the attractive one of the group. He does all of our PR.
Hold on 1 second here. Where's the Google chat? Okay. All right, the link is on the chat.
But chat.
Yep.
Chat. Okay. Open link in new tab. Oh god. Chat. Okay. Open link in.
Okay. Well, that's not the one I was looking for. Let's see if I can get logged in as the good, the bored, and the ugly.
I'm going to post it
live
on the
chat?
Board Game Club.
Oh, that's scary. Okay. Now what the hell am I doing? Posting it on Twitter.
Why don't you post it on the Twitter on the Board Game Club?
Hey,
What?
dude, we've got 110 followers for.
For the YouTube?
Yeah, here, hold
Wow.
on. Let me. So if I just search episode 18, Episode
I put in
118.
episode 118, Netdecking versus Homebrewing.
okie dokie. Nice. All right. Well, I'm gonna post this here.
Posting it on the Facebook or in the Board Game Club. It's got my big old face right now.
There we go.
I'm scared on what you put on there. So what we need to do is we need to actually make a Good Board Ugly Google account so that it'll go onto the Google, or it'll go onto the Good Board Ugly YouTube page
Yes.
instead of just.
And we might
Joe's.
actually have people come and live chat with us. That would be weird.
Ooh, I'll tell Joe
guess I'll-
Wiggins to come razz Joe online.
Well, I'm just gonna mute. So if we mute the actual thing on YouTube while we're watching it,
That's what I'm doing right now.
yeah, because it's like a few seconds delayed. Otherwise, that's maddening. Like you can't listen to that and record
No.
the show.
No.
I just feel so crappy for the quality of this friggin' webcam.
Dude,
It's the first time I'd ever used it when Nate was here last time, and he starts cracking up because like very first thing I do when I have a second, like when somebody else is talking, is like go onto Amazon and just Google webcams.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, so
I went onto
episode-
Amazon and I Googled webcams.
Yeah. Yeah, if we make a Google account for this, then people can subscribe to us.
This is true, yeah, and they could actually just be here when it happens. I think. Okay, could you guys tell me, looking at my, tell me when does it seem like it's best focused?
Well, I see your hand. That is not it. Jesus Christ, John! Just like I'm seeing your pores.
It's because I have to get up close to it to do this, man. Like,
No,
tell
I
me,
got
like,
you. It's just
okay. Here. Can I see? That's okay, more or less. I just need to get a nicer one. This is probably as good as it's gonna get.
dude. The one that I have, I got for like $20 at Walmart.
I know, like $20 is probably great. This one cost me $6, and it's nothing but headache. It is terrible.
Because you spent $6 on it.
Yeah, that's like they didn't make any money off of this except in like the shipping and stuff. They had to have lost it all in the shipping.
Yeah.
Hey, you liked it.
I did.
Sweet. Yeah. All right, so
We actually got 4
John,
people
you
watching
got
us right now. Cool. Hey, everybody.
4 people.
Yeah.
Hey, sweet. Some people are giving us a shot. Appreciate it.
I'm sure of those 4 people, we are 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are 3 of them. That means 1 dude though, right now. Like, you shout out, man.
No, the other one, I logged in on my spare computer just to make Joe feel important.
Or it's probably
I
Edgar.
feel-
Eggers.
Yeah, maybe it's the elusive Nate elusively joining us. No, I doubt that he would do that, man. He wouldn't waste his streaming on that when he can just get the episode.
Oh yeah,
when it's
no,
all
that's
good
right.
to go.
He's got a data cap.
Yeah, there's no way. All right, well, things look like they're all pretty good here. Just kind of fill in those blanks here as we get going, John, if that sounds cool. It looks like you're doing it. Oh, I can't wait for this. It's going to be a good episode, everybody. Well, we'll see. It might be, if you're here and you're listening, it'll be more of what you come for, so
Sure.
I assume.
Which is me listening to Joe rant and then going, oh no, people can actually see me go.
Yeah, it's going to be able to actually see us now. This is going to be great. There'll be, I think that just getting like there's probably going to be quite a few memorable moments. Like, I would say, like, you could probably almost make memes out of these now.
I guess I should start remembering to wear pants from now on.
You know what, John? You may or may not be in the right crowd right now.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah. We have these webcams from the neck up here for a reason.
Right,
Oh, I
this
guess
is going to be interesting. Hold on. Hold on.
I guess if anybody here is listening, and if this posts before, I think it'll post before Origins. I'm planning on bringing this shirt with me to Origins, which probably is impossible to read. America needs public schools. Is that when it was on yours? Does it look like a mirror? Could you guys like not read that at all?
Oh, it's Zach. Hey. Zach is one of the people listening to us. Hey, Zach. Oh. All right. So we're going to actually get onto the show here soon. Joe, I did update the hype. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay. Oh, boy. Yes. Yes, this will be good. All right. So, you guys ready to go? Anybody have any complaints or grievances get out of the way here?
I do wish I would have put on pants.
We'll deal with you here, John. We'll deal with you.
Fair enough.
All right. Just don't stand up without clicking that camera off button. I really don't want to make this one R-rated.
Meh.
And I feel like that would turn into some sort of weird. Yeah, it would go somewhere weird on the internet. Nobody wants that. Okay.
Since 2 out of 3 of us are school teachers, that would be great.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, with my wife actually, yeah.
American needs public schools, and then this is the last. That was right before he lost his teaching job.
Yeah. Okay, so are we about ready here?
Yes.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bored, and the Ugly. I'm your host, Joe Sallin, and I'm joined tonight by
Andrew Dennison.
Yay, let's both do it at the same time. I got Andy here and John. So, yes, John, it's great to have you back, man. How you been?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Good stuff. I think you've been missed sorely. I know that it's been mentioned at least once or twice since the last time you were on that somebody was like, I just want to see him, man. I want to see him. I miss him. And they asked me for what personal info I could give about you. And I mean, I gave it, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell your mom I said hi too.
John? All right. Well, anyway, you might notice that Trent is not here tonight, and that is very abnormal. This has got to be like one of 5 or 6 episodes that Trent's not been on for. So we wish him well wherever he may be. I think he took a beautiful picture of the mountains, and that's probably pretty nice. So, and he's visiting all kinds of mountains after just being at HeavyCon. So, anyway, he'll be missed, and maybe he'll actually catch up with us by listening to this episode. Who knows? But he might not get much reception. So, anyway,
he'll be sending smoke signals from the mountains.
Yeah, that's on that West Coast there, Andy. I don't think smoke signals are a really great thing to try. I'm pretty sure that's what causes the whole West Coast to go up in flames.
We'll see the secondary signals then.
Okay, well, we are actually broadcasting this live on YouTube for the first time. I'd like to welcome Zach for joining us. We didn't really have any idea that we were going to be broadcasting live, but I think it's awesome that you saw the link, clicked on it, and welcome. Anyway, we are here to talk about board games. And first we review games, then we will talk about something in the hobby. Tonight is going to be a discussion of something Jonathan really excels in, which is pre-constructed deck games. And so we're going to talk about one of the main issues of contention there among people who play them, where Netdecking, where you go online and find a deck and then just play it, versus actually homebrewing or making up your own deck. So we're going to get to that after we review games and before we hype games. On our way out the door, we'll talk about what we're looking forward to. So let's go ahead and kick off this review session with I'm excited to hear about both of you guys'. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make you guys wait for the exciting ones and talk about a very short little game here. It's a short game, and it's going to be a short discussion because there's not much you can say about it. This game is called Familia, and this is spelled like the Italian way to spell familia, which is with a G, kind of like lasagna. It's not lasagna, it's not famiglia. Some people, I think, mispronounce that. And I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but at least I'm not that bad. Anyway, Familia is a game about gangs. So it's a pretty simple card game, actually, in which you are going to be starting with a hand of the lowest rank, which is a 0 out of 4 different families. And each of the 4 families has a special ability. And you'll be drafting cards from this drafting line, but there are very restrictive drafting rules, as in, like, you can only take a card level 0 at the beginning of the game. That's the only thing you're capable of taking. And then once, as the game goes on, you call this, it's called the street, and you're recruiting your gang members and stuff. Essentially, the way that it works is you kind of build pyramids in this game. So if you have 2 level 0, the cheapest guys, then you can play one of them to the table, and then take with the other one, you can take a level 1, which would be the next row up from the street. I'm probably not doing a great job of explaining it, but let's just say that what you're going to be doing is trying to collect the cards of a color to get better cards, higher cards of that color, and everything that's in your hand or your hand and in front of you, which is considered to be like your gang, your influence, is all has little point values on them. And whoever's the most points at the end of the game wins. You just keep going until somebody kind of triggers. There's a couple ways to trigger endgame. But anyway, Familia is interesting because the 4 different families have 4 special abilities. There's the yellow cards let you reduce costs of other cards when you play them just separately. The green cards are mercenaries, so they can be used in place of other cards, but they're like lower, so you can use a 3 green to be a 1 or 2 of any other color, but you always have to use at least one gang member of the gang that you're recruiting. So anyway, there's the accountants let you kind of get cards that you've played back to your hand, and the last one is like the Godfathers, because they look like, the guy's like petting a cat and looks like Marlon Brando from The Godfather, and they're just worth more points. It's a really simple game. It's something where it's got a heavy amount of randomness. It's really more how you can sort of swing the randomness in your favor. It's one that I think is entertaining a little bit, but honestly, it's just a deck of 55 cards, and there's not really all that much there for me particularly. The thing that I think frustrates me the most is just that, like, so often you'll end up in these situations where you can't make any really good choices because of what is on the street for you to get. So you end up in these situations where you're just not able to really recruit anything, not able to take a meaningful turn. And to have that happen to you once or twice and have your opponent jump ahead of you and win, like at the end of the game, just kind of can feel really disheartening and frustrating. Not that I'm super competitive with it, but just more control than Familia has. But I think that it kind of plays with this idea of a 4, it's about the same size as a regular deck of cards, 4 suits. It plays with that idea in a really interesting way. Is it better than other regular card games? Probably not, but it's one that I'll play from time to time. That's what I think about Familia.
Word.
So, John, I actually think like this would be a good one for you to try out because you pretty much you just shuffle the deck. Everybody gets one of every kind of family, and then you just kind of go from there. It's simple, it's easy, and it's got really cool looking artwork. Like, I don't know if you can see any of the artwork, like when you just type that in on like BGG, but man, like I don't know. It's like the Power Grid artist, but the artwork, it's like he was able to just kind of do this really cool, try to make these guys oozing with cool, like the Outsiders kind of. But anyway, yeah, I really like I don't know, for some reason I really like the Godfather artwork.
Fair enough.
Word. Well, anyway, guys, like I said, that wasn't going to be a long discussion because there isn't just all that much you can say about the game. So let's go ahead and let's move on to Andy. Good old Andy. Could you please tell me about a map that I am just absolutely, I don't know, I'm jealous that you got to play this game without me and that you got to play a map that I am interested to hear about.
Yeah, so in my continuing saga of the sickness that is known as Age of Steam maps, last Sunday we got to play the China map. And the China map has a few interesting twists like any of the Age of Steam maps does. In this one, what they do is you actually start out with extra money at the beginning of the game. So normally you take 2 shares, you start with $10. And this one, you start with an additional $10 that's your family fortune. But anyway, you're going to need this money because there's crazy amounts of terrain all over China. There's deserts and rivers and mountains and all that. And what is also interesting about this one is there's a connection fee. So when you connect to a city, you have to pay the cost in additional money equal to the number of the city. So if you connect to a 6th city, it costs you $6 extra to do that.
What?
Yeah.
No, what? Those numbers are like random. They can't.
Oh, no, they don't, because they put the more difficult colors to get a hold of on the higher number cities.
Oh my goodness. Whoa.
So for example, there's only 1 purple city in the entire board, and it's on a 6. And
uh-oh.
you know the urbanization action where you get to put out other colors?
Sure.
Yeah. No purple.
There's no. They should just take it out.
They just take it out. So it makes the deliveries pretty rough. There's also a special hex that's Russia, or like the connection to Russia. And all it does is you can't deliver anything to it, but it gets 1 cube every round. So it basically is an extra fulfillment area where you can get cubes and deliver them to other areas. Everyone has to start from coastal cities. There's like 5 red cities. They're all coastal. You have to start from one of those. What's also cool is, unlike most Age of Steam games, in most of them, your track, once you've started, has to connect to it somehow. In China, you can actually take up and start from a different coastal city. So you can come in from different regions that way. That made it real interesting as well. For me, it was neat because we were taking a lot of shares. This map was very much about paying through the nose early on in hopes of long-term payoff. Like I was really sitting there going, how do I avoid the death spiral? And there was a lot of long-term planning in that. And there was a couple guys that, had the game gone on another round or 2 longer, they would have been starting down the death spiral. So they were new guys. They played really well for new guys at Age of Steam. As I told them, when they place, I think it was the couple last positions, I'm like, yeah, remember, if you didn't go bankrupt your first game of Age of Steam, you won your first game of Age of Steam.
Very true.
But the China map's really interesting. It's very going to reward the long-term plan. Like, you really have to be spending wisely to get into that long-term position where you can really start making money. You really have to be careful about that. And yeah, I felt like I was taking more shares than normal. So that was, it was really interesting. This is one I want to play again because I'm a gaming masochist, and whenever the map is going to be really hard, this is the thing I want to play. The next one I really want to try is Taiwan Cube Factory, because I've been told that game always ends up with somebody going bankrupt. So anyway, that's Age of Steam China. It is a readily available map, unlike a lot of Age of Steam maps, and definitely worth picking up. So.
Cool stuff, bro.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I was talking there and I hadn't clicked off my mute button on my mic, so that'll show up in the YouTube. I was like, wow, John just totally interrupted me. What's going on? And by the way, sorry, Josh. Josh is such an excellent editor. Maybe he'll just leave this in. So maybe I'm not apologizing for anything. Maybe he's just like
sitting here laughing at you while remembering that he was the one who had to play Age of Steam and spent the entire time bashing his head against the board.
Oh, did Josh play Age of Steam?
Yeah, he was forced to.
Oh yeah, I know he hates trains so bad.
He hates train games so much.
Did he like it at all though, or?
I think it was okay.
Look at John.
I think he was being very nice to you, Andy.
Well, and the thing that always baffles me about this is like, it's weird to me that like people go with the I hate trains thing, because for me, people when they find out I play Age of Steam or 18xx and stuff like that, they're always like, "Oh, you must really like trains, don't you?" And I'm like, "Eh."
See, that's the thing. I love trains. I'm kind of meh on train games.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because they're like, "What? Why do you play train games if you don't like trains?" And my response is always, "Because I like being mentally abused by a math book."
Yeah. Well, that and the fact that the train theme in itself could be replaced by just about anything, and it would be the same game.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the way that the map grows sort of organically, I mean, even in like Ticket to Ride, you do, like the routes and the way that they're claimed. I mean, it's obviously totally different end game goal, but I mean, it offers the ability for this sort of like linear progression of the game, to get essentially long-term planning in there, which I think is what Andy probably thinks of when he thinks of train games, because Andy, you're always making jokes that like, this doesn't have trains in it. No, thanks. And it's like, yeah, I know you don't care about the train theme, but
yeah, it's really the crunchy decisions and the ability to carry off a long-term plan that I really find most interesting.
Then why do you like that? What is it? Trick of the Rails. That's just because you like train games. The trains.
Well, that's the original reason I bought it, but that's also because that's a crazy, crazy trick-taking game.
It's a fun game.
That's insane.
I need to play that game more. I need to get that game.
I think it's
Trick claims
regular.
Trick claims he's found the bones of the mechanisms underneath and knows how to do really well at it now. So I need to play him to see if this is true.
Sure. Oh, the thing that I was trying to say when my mic was on mute was, do you have like any idea where this would rank among the Age of Steam maps you have played so far? So the ones I know that you've played are like the Vermont or New Hampshire, the Four Corners. We've played quite a bit. Obviously, Rust Belt. I've played like a 2-player one, but I don't remember what other ones you've played.
Oh, I don't know. It's just this one. I think it's not so different compared to some of the other ones. So it'd be kind of like a good next step when someone's ready to move out of the Rust Belt, I think. There's not a whole lot of like new weird rules with it, just a little bit. And it definitely incentivizes different things. Oh, because that's the one thing I forgot to mention. When you take the engineering actions where you can lay 4 track tiles, you get a choice. You can either lay 4 track tiles or you half the cost of connecting to a city.
Which is at most $3.
Right, but it definitely incentivizes going after that more than, I think that gets incentivized in other games.
Yeah, the take 4 is more of a like specific, like if you have a 4, if you need to build 4 to finish a link, then but I see what you're saying. So you think that it's a next step? What I was wondering is, based on the way that you were talking about, like this one sounded like you liked it quite a bit, but it didn't like just jump right to the top of the list. It was more kind of, it's a good one. They're all of a certain quality.
Yeah, kind of those things. It's definitely, I think, based on the ones I have played, it's definitely in that grouping. I haven't played one that's, that I would be like, this is pretty situational yet. Like most of the ones I've played are the pretty good ones, but, so far out of all the backlog of 20 or so I have, I'm picking up the ones that I think that are going to play best. So that's not surprising to me. So as I work my way through some of these maps, it'll be, a little bit like, this one's China's better than this one, or something like that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. All right, well, thanks, Andy. That was the Age of Steam China map, which I'm very, very interested in trying. So now we get to move on to a review that I have been looking forward to hearing from John. John, you take it from here.
Okay. I'm going to be reviewing a game called Innis.
I'm going to mute my mic just while you talk. I'm going to take myself out here for a minute.
Sure. So Innis is a dudes on a map game. Sorry, I'm seeing Joe move around. Like, what is he saying behind the camera? It's a dudes on a map game with a drafting and card playing. I did not like this game. There was something about this game, and Joe, first off, I recognize one of the reasons why I didn't like this game was how I lost, was because I decided to play in the worst possible starting spot, which was you lose a guy every time that the order changes and who plays, but you get to draw one of these fairy tale cards. And it was a bad strategy because there wasn't even a strategy. It was, hey, how am I playing this game? Oh, it's not this way. Pretty much how the game works out, there's a certain amount of cards. I think they're called season cards. I don't remember exactly how many there are, but they are drafted. You then, on your turn, play the cards, and the cards can do things like put more people out on the board, add another tile to the map. They can combat. They can do other things. And then there's these fairy tale cards, which, throw more other random stuff that you can play. And each location, you also get another yellow card, which is kind of like tap this to do something that's generally specific to what this area would be like. I've played this once. I've watched Trent play this once, and I can promise you, well, I don't want to promise you because I don't want to put words in Trent's mouth, but I'm pretty sure Trent did not like this game either, to the point that we complained about it so much in front of the elusive Nate, whose game it was, that the next words out of his mouth were that I'm going to sell it because nobody likes my games. And the way he was still unhappy about it, I saw him yesterday, and he had talked about selling Innis, and I told him to make sure that he sells it with a pepper shaker to go with all the salt that he's sending along as well. But I just personally, and I may need another play or two of this game, it's just I wasn't a fan. I'm not a huge drafting fan to begin with. There's not a lot of drafting games that I personally enjoy. And this one just, I think it's the dudes on the map thing is also not my thing. So it just could be those two things just did not make this a good game for me. Now, is that to say it's not a good game? Probably not. And I can assure you just by the facial expressions that Joe's been making, he probably thinks this is a good game. But he also thinks Cry Havoc is a good game. So there's that.
All right. Wait a minute. If I don't start talking, you're gonna just start putting more words into my mouth. So, yeah, I like how you lead in with it's a game where you can do a few things with cards. I did not like this game.
Yeah. No, it's just like I said, it's a personal preference thing. There are going to be people who like this game. If you like dudes on the map game, you're probably going to like this game. If you like drafting games, you're probably going to like this game. If you like both of those, you're probably really going to like this game.
Did you like StarCraft? Of
course I liked StarCraft. StarCraft was an amazing game.
Dudes on a map.
And I didn't say I don't like you know me, I hate programming games. I liked Mechs and Minions. It's not to say that there are not games with those mechanics that I don't like. Deck building's my favorite mechanic. There are deck building games I don't like. So
sure, yeah.
So I mean, it's a mechanic is not going to make me not like the game.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I feel about it. It's like yeah. No, I agree with what you just said. So what are? Well, I don't know. I guess the question I was going to ask you is, what's a few games of that mechanic? But I mean, that would be totally derailing. The thing I think that you play this game the one time, and I think that's the first frustrating thing to get out of the way. Your first game of Innis, unless it's one where you're learning with all the same group, unless you're all at the same level, or you just, are capable, like one of those people who can just jump into a game and not really care about the first game. You just kind of, either you're in the one spectrum where you're like super competitive, but you get things really fast. You'll be fine there with Innis. You might be a little bit frustrated because the person teaching it might not choose to teach you about all 17, John, there's 17 seasons cards. Because the reason I remember that is you play with 4 players, everybody gets 4 cards, and there's always one card that's out. So so there's 17 different actions in the game. They're all on these cards, and that basically all the actions are going to be in every time. And there's just the little tiny bit of randomness, kind of like when you play like a trick-taking game like Euchre or something. That's what I was kind of weaned on. You've got a few cards in the blind, but you generally assume that most cards are in play. You get to see most of the cards. I want to say there's like 1/8 of the cards in Euchre that you don't get to see. So that's, I think, one of the ways that it filters information. It gives you only these 4 actions to have to consider at the beginning. And then once you've chosen your different actions, now you're kind of stuck with whatever you were choosing to do this round. Whatever kind of like plan you had, you're kind of stuck into that in a way. And there's some other things that the game does, but the thing I can see how, John, you would feel like here's the thing. The Dudes on a Map to me is like, I guess I really love those games. I don't know, but I don't want to just say that because there's been Dudes on a Map games that I like despise.
Sure.
But I think it offers a nice platform for the players to really interact with each other. That's what I think. Like, if I'm looking for interaction in a game, I get really frustrated when it's in a Euro game and it's something like, here, poke you in the eye, and, there's really nothing that you can do to see that coming. The map offers this sort of like flowing, organic platform for interaction for the players. Sure. And that's something that I can enjoy quite a bit. And then the drafting part of it just basically is like, what are you going for? How are you going to be able to get it and stuff? And will you be able to get it? One thing I did like, and this is a question for you, John. I don't know, maybe you didn't play with this rule, or maybe it just wasn't a big deal. Whenever you get drafted cards, like let's say that I pick up 2 cards from you, like from the person on my right, all I got to do is pass 1 card on. I could choose to abandon any of the cards I had chosen earlier in the round. So you're always able to, like adjust to whatever cards you get.
No, and yeah, we played to that rule. I think, like you said, my first play, not knowing all of the cards completely.
Oh, it's so huge that you know all the cards.
And then that's one of those things. So, and you know what? And that's another thing about certain games that I just don't like. That's one of my main beefs with Agricola, is because I don't know all the cards up and down. It just puts me at such a disadvantage. But I will say this: a first play for me doesn't always mean, especially if I'm losing or at such a disadvantage, doesn't mean I'm not going to like the game. I recently played Kemet for the first time, and I liked it, and I got stomped. So I mean, it's not to say that that's what makes it feel like a bad game to me. And once again, not saying this is a bad game. I'm just saying that it's not a game for me.
You usually you have like kind of a rule of 2, right, John? That you usually.
If I don't like something, I'll play it again. Yes.
Okay. I think this one is at least worth that. I think you'll like it more. I don't know if it'll ever be the game for you. The thing about Innis is just that, to me, the game plays in about 45 minutes or so, and it really distills a lot about Dudes on a Map games quickly, and it does it in a way that I kind of like, just because of how it's almost like a super filler, sort of. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a loaded word, but like. And
that was a good thing about the game, is that it was a very quick game, and that's not because I wanted to get to be over quickly. It was very quick. There were certain small rules also that bugged me. The whole Citadel thing, the whole point where if I'm trying to go fight you over there, and like let's say even like somebody's got their win condition. Like, let's say, they need to be in 6 places at once. The only thing I'm close to is one of them, and they got a Citadel in there. They're going to win. There's nothing I can do about it, because all they got to do is place that one guy in the Citadel, and that's it. Now, granted, that's good planning on their part, but at the same time,
you got hustled there, man. That's getting hustled. But yeah, it's something that's frustrating, because it seems weird in a fighting game, Dudes on a Map game, that you could just, totally turtle up into a Citadel. That's just, and the rules for turtling in a Citadel are kind of strange. It's like, it has to do with whoever starts the fight, and then it goes like clockwise or counterclockwise from them, depending on what way the round's going. It's a little bit weird if there's only one Citadel, because it could be like a random person gets the opportunity to be in there, and it's not really the 2 people that are fighting. Yeah. It's got some interesting coexistence things. Some of the design, my biggest criticism is that there's, on top of the season cards, which I think are very, very well designed, there is a little bit of randomness in the game in terms of this deck of 30 gods cards. I forget what exactly they're called. No, Epic Tale.
Or Epic Tale cards.
And I don't like the design of several of those. I would say that there's about 4 or 5 of them that I'm just like, this is just not good design. Like, you end up, like, one of them just says, play this card, draw 2 other Epic Tale cards, and keep one of them or resolve one of them. I forget, but it's like, come on, like it's ridiculous. It's just like a waste of an action. It's just, let's make the game take a little bit longer than it should while this guy reads 2 new cards. Yeah. Anyway, few minor criticisms like that, but I'm actually quite excited I might be bringing Innis along with me to Origins, because Jeff Gamble of Longview, he actually has not played it yet, and we were kind of considering making like Guinness. I almost said Guinness, the combination of Kemet and Innis. Guinness. No.
I feel like if those 2 were combined, yes, I would need a few Guinnesses.
Yeah, probably the case. Well, I liked hearing your input, John. Anything to say, Andy?
I'll play it after Dominion.
So I'm gonna click mute here really quick. You guys don't my mute button turned on, right? Because we're keeping this PG. Okay, good. All right. Anyway, that's
we'll save the middle fingers for YouTube.
that is the least favorite thing that Andy ever says. least favorite thing of mine. So anyway, Andy, I'm seriously like Dominion. This is. I should have just somehow forced you to play Dominion. I could have. I had the choice. I almost did.
I'll make it.
Almost did.
I will play it by the end of summer.
Oh my goodness! Is this like the American Pie thing? Like we will all have dates by prom or something like that? Is this Andy? Like,
I just don't understand how Andy hasn't played Dominion, but has taught Bunny Moose Moose.
There's
John,
two words to explain that. Vlada Shavato.
That's a very fair point.
Name 2 words. Name recognition. It's ugh. Oh boy. All right. Well, we're gonna have to move on here. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up with an ulcer or a kidney stone. Anyway, our topic today, guys, is an issue of contention in constructed deck games. So, whenever you're going to play a game or you build a deck prior to either playing a scenario or prior to competing with other players, how should you build that deck? John, as our resident card game master card game,
not player, that's for sure. No, I play a lot. I'm just not good at it.
You're the connoisseur.
Sure. We'll say that.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So
like, wine.
Yeah.
Where I know I recognize a good wine, but I still drink Boone's Farm.
Is Boone's Farm actually considered wine?
I think technically, I don't know. It could also be considered Kool-Aid. So it's
Kool-Aid, or like just malt beverage.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm gonna let you take it from here, John, just to kind of give a little bit of background onto the topic and how you feel about it.
Okay. Well, so a lot of people know that I do work in a store that its bread and butter is Magic the Gathering. And one of my things was whenever I wanted to play in a competitive tournament for Magic, I knew the best way to actually be competitive would be to net deck. Now, net decking in Magic is going to be different from some of the other games that I do play. And the reason why I brought up this topic is because recently I was playing Arkham Horror, the LCG, and I was like, I feel like I'm actually doing myself a disservice by net decking this game. I felt like I was going there's like 3 main parts of the game, and one of them is deck building, and I was completely just ignoring that. And I was just looking at, like Arkham DB or Card Games DB, going through the decks that other people had made and say, hey, this works great for the campaign. I'm like, and I go, cool, I'll use that and then play through. I went through what's out for the campaign out now a few times with a couple of different net decks. And I was like, let me try out something. And I made my own deck. And I had so much fun doing it. I was like, this is great. I really was doing myself a disservice. At that point, I was like, you know what? I've been doing the same thing playing Game of Thrones. Now, the difference between the two is Game of Thrones is competitive, whereas, Arkham is solo or cooperative. And I know now that probably the decks that I'm making are not going to be strong competitively. I know that they're not of the meta, which, every game is going to have, every, competitive card game. So I just kind of wanted to see where everybody kind of stands on the net decking versus homebrewing, because what do you do on competitions? Do you feel like you have to build around that meta so that you can be competitive, so that you can get the win? Because that's what those games are for. Or do you still feel like you can do the fun of homebrewing and hope that you win with what you got? So that's why I wanted to bring up this topic.
Yeah, dude, what a shift. And how cool to hear that. To hear, like you actually make that sort of connection and for it to be inspired by Arkham Horror. So what do you think then about like where you're at competitively? What do you think drove you to net deck in the first place, I guess, is a question. Like, and Magic has been around longer than really like the accessible internet.
Sure.
You know, like, so, you know, when did, I guess, I don't know, I guess you, a kind of a rough timeline of your own experience with net decking. And if you know anything about Magic in the Stone Age, let me know.
Yeah, well, see, and that's the thing. I've only been playing Magic since like 2015, I think is what it was. So maybe 2014.
You've only been playing like 2-3 years?
Yeah, not that long. It just kind of.
When we started the podcast.
You sure?
Yeah.
2015?
Yeah, like January.
So maybe 3 years. Maybe so. Yeah, it wasn't much longer before that. So it's just one of those things that I just kind of, and it was weird how I got into Magic was because I thought comics were getting too expensive. So I was like, hey, maybe I'll play Magic. So,
That's an oops.
Yeah, that was a very large oops because 1 month and $2,000 later.
Yeah, well, I know they get pretty high.
But the thing is, so when I had first started playing, there was actually a fairly cheap deck out for Magic that was called it was like the Mono Black deck. It was out like during the Theros block, and it was like $120 deck worth of cards. And that's pretty cheap, and it was like a tier 1 deck. So something that, that's a very competitive meta deck. And that's when I started net decking because I was like, there's such a large card pool. I mean, this is a game that's been out since, 93?
Yeah.
There's so many cards. There's no possible way I'm going to be able to go through every one of those cards. Little did I know, working at a Magic store, I have seen every card that's been printed about 50,000 times. But at that point, I'm like, there's just no way. And then, talking to the people that I play Magic with, and these are all people, we've had a few people at the store that, have been in Pro Tour before. So, I mean, this is, some good players. And these are guys who, you can say, I'm looking for a card that does this, this, and this. And they'll come up with stuff that's just like before Stronghold. Like, I mean, cards that have been out since the dawn of time. And they'll give you every card and what block and everything. And I'm like, how do you memorize all that? And it's like, it's just the stuff that we played with. So, I mean, net decking just kind of made sense for me. And then when Game of Thrones came out, I'll admit, I'm a competitive player. I like to win. And especially in a tournament setting, I'm going to want to win those. So I was like, well, let's look at the meta. Let's look to see what everybody else is building, what's winning in the tournaments, in the UK, what's winning in the regionals that are going on here in the US. And come to find out in that game, you actually need to, be a good player as well, not just have the good deck. And then that's
is that a criticism of Magic? Just so I don't know Magic, but
no, Magic's the same way. You still need to know how to play the deck as well. It's just I felt Game of Thrones, it's even more so.
Yeah, but I've actually heard someone say the term in Magic is you're piloting the deck or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the deck, you know how to play it, and it's the cards themselves, it's not even that you're playing as a good player. It's the rules of the game that you're playing as the player. You have to know
just remembering to take all of your positive bonuses and make sure to enforce the negative ones on your opponent. Yeah, it's
well, I mean, it even goes beyond that. So in Game of Thrones, there's a total of, I think, during an entire turn, 8 or 9 action windows. Where in Magic, there is an action window for every action that's made, and then multiple actions that can be made from that point on. So that's what's called the stack. And then the last thing to get casted is the first thing that happens. So you have to know how to be able to manipulate the stack, and that's a huge thing in Magic.
Okay.
That's how you become a good player. With Game of Thrones, though, it's more, I don't know, there's other things to it. And I found that by net decking, what you're doing is you have a deck, but you haven't kind of attuned yourself to it. You have to know, what do I need to play? When do I need to play it? And those kinds of things. I felt like that's what I was missing out on net decking as well. So and that's not to say that net decking is bad. I know a lot of people kind of look at it in a negative light, but when you are in a competitive play, especially in a living card game like Game of Thrones, there is a meta. There are decks that are better and are going to win, and everybody else in those tournaments are going to play those decks. And you probably want to homebrew, and you probably want to go, look at what the meta is and try to make a counter to those. But most of the time, there's probably somebody out there that's made something better than you. So unless you feel pretty good about yourself about it, you're going to end up net decking. But I think in the local sense, though, I think I'm done net decking local tournaments. I feel like I'm just losing the fun. I
think it really depends on the game somewhat. I guess in Game of Thrones, I feel like piloting, as you said, piloting the deck is huge. Like there is so many decisions that you're going to have at your disposal, and there's 8 different houses, and I really do feel like every house has their own special flavor to them. Whereas Magic, there's really the 4 basic colors, right? And
5.
There's 5. Sorry, 5.
But then the combinations of all of them together. So I mean.
Well, then the Game of Thrones has that too. I mean, and then Game of Thrones has additional combinations where you can just have modifiers on those decks and stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to say. I guess what I think really changes Game of Thrones to make it so that as a net decking, it's funny, John, because I feel like I've argued the opposite of this point before. I think that it can still be very entertaining as a net deck because just in terms of you make that little plot deck and you get to choose what goes off when. And I feel like just you're in so much control that really you're deciding where you're going. And I feel like if it was a game where you were just playing, the cards from your deck were the only ones you could do anything with, I imagine that would put more of an emphasis on the deck building. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I can agree with that, yeah.
I mean, the timing is a huge thing, and I think that they're definitely big in everything. In all card games, knowing when to play what is huge, and knowing how to react to your opponent is huge. And like you said, manipulating the stack is interesting. I've never played Magic, so I'm not familiar with that concept, but I can visualize it. I think personally, for me, that here's the way I personally feel like I have built decks. Like when I first started playing Game of Thrones, I didn't even know that I didn't even know that Card Game DB existed. I just, looked at all the cards, set them all down, tried to make a couple of decks, and I was shocked at how poorly some of the decks I built, without much knowledge of the game, were how they went. And so then I went through this phase where I was like, just trying to, and this is before I didn't take anything to a tournament. I think my first tournament, I tried a deck that I built myself, and I got halfway through my first game and was like, yeah, I'm not going to win anything today because I forgot this. Yeah. So anyway, so then I started net decking, but I was just playing like recreationally. I feel like at least at that point, I thought there was some sort of dishonor in net decking. To bring a net deck to a tournament, to me, just felt dishonorable. It felt like plagiarism. Honestly, like I was using somebody else's material and passing it off as my own to a group of my own peers, and that to me is there's no honor in that. But here's the real way I feel about net decking, John, and that is it's something that I will still do. It's something that I will do when I feel unfamiliar with the card base, when I feel uncomfortable with the game, and I feel outmatched by any random person that has been playing the game. So will I still play net decks? Absolutely, because I haven't played Game of Thrones in a little while here, but I'm putting together some net decks that I can go play just so I can get back into the groove of things. Like sure. It's going to help me understand, what has the meta done? How has it shifted since the last time, before my tennis season when I could actually play? And then from there, it's when you get your sturdy wings, like when I can follow the meta on my own, that's when I'm building these home brews. And that's when I'm taking net decks, maybe making an idea of a net deck and then taking my own spin on it and feeling more and more comfortable. But I feel like, it just takes a lot. Like there's a lot to digest in a card game. And that's why I think that they're way more accessible because of net decking. But if it's going to be a crutch, if you're going to let your competitive nature dictate whether or not you're going to allow any sort of creativity or just any sort of you working for yourself, I think that's where it becomes, sort of a frustrating problem. When you talk to somebody and it's just like, yeah, all I do is net deck. That's all anybody does.
Yeah.
it's like then we're all kind of losers, kind of, right?
Fair enough. No, absolutely. And I think, I mean, setting yourself kind of those criteria on when to net deck is a good thing. And I think I'm going to kind of adopt that as well. But I'm going to kind of put myself in the more, if I'm going to play locally, I think I'm going to only play homebrews because it feels more fun that way. But if I'm going to play in high tournaments like regionals, nationals, worlds, things like that, I might have to look at net decking, or at the very least kind of base things off of that, because if I want to, those things are made to win. And I feel local play is to have fun. Even though they're tournaments, like even, like a store championship where you can win a buy for regional, I still feel like I would want to homebrew a deck just to feel like I'm having more fun, where, like I said, the more higher end ones, I want to win because that's just the way it is. But I'm going to try to go and play with a deck that is, at the very most, I think, based off of a net deck. And if I can tweak it a little bit to make it something for me, that's where I think I'm going to go.
Yeah, exactly. You want to feel at least a little bit more comfortable with it. What's interesting, John, is I think net decking would have maybe saved me from going on a 1.5-year hiatus from Lord of the Rings, the card game. Like, I used to build decks like crazy with Lord of the Rings, the card game. I had like all these materials out, and I did it entirely analog. I never was online at all. And I would always build 2 decks and play with my brother because he just understood the rules of the game. But it got really tiring to put together 2 decks and to try to understand the interactions between the choices you are making for each of your decks it just got to be so much that, like, I just wasn't able to put in like 3 hours of required work to build a deck specifically for a scenario. Yeah. And so I honestly think that just at least getting my bearings with some net decking and understanding what the scenario is challenging you, how it's challenging you, and knowing what cards are going to work in those situations, because I've played successful decks in like something where you can draw some sort of level of comparison. I think it's just at least for me, I'm not a creative individual. Like, I just straight up am not. So I need experience, and I need to be able to like build up my analyzing capability through using other people's good ideas. Yep. And it's just like teaching is the same way, right, Andy? Every teacher is a thief. Like, absolutely. Like, you might have a few great ideas, but you probably made those great ideas entirely by stealing somebody else's idea and then just changing it in this way. So, I mean, it's just, it's the part of the collective knowledge. And that's where I think, when you choose to use it, as long as it's not a crutch for you, where it's the only thing you can do. And obviously, if you're super casual, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you shouldn't take any offense to that. But if you're really somebody who considers themselves a competitor, I agree with you, John. If you're playing local, you shouldn't be doing anything but homebrewing, or at the very least, net decking, and then making changes so that you can say, well, it's like this, but it's really not because it does this.
Yeah. And also, I feel like if you're going to net deck, especially local, maybe not so much in the regional because everybody knows that you're going to, let people know. Just be like, don't try to play it off as I made this deck, I'm super cool. No, you probably didn't. You and generally, like, our local players, a lot of people know that those decks are net decked anyway. Because I remember one time I went in there with like a Night Watch deck and you were playing. It's like, hey, did you get that one off of them? Like, oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I could call exactly where your decks were coming from and which tournament. Because I noticed what you did, and what you did was kind of what most people do on the net decking things, on like the places where the databases where there's decks, is you just look at whichever one, you choose a faction, look at whichever one has the most thumbs, and they are unequivocally whatever just won the biggest tournament. That's it. Like there's a few tournaments with a pretty decent reputation in Europe and the US, and whatever won those, that's what gets the most thumbs. That's the only decks anybody cares to see, is what won tournaments.
Well, the thing is, though, that Night Watch deck never actually won a tournament. It just had a lot of thumbs. It was weird.
Well, I knew it because of that then. So yeah, I know, because I kind of operate the same way. I don't want to see somebody's deck who's as good as me. I don't just want to see like an idea. Like, I want to see an idea that's been tested. It's like, I don't want to play a game that's still a mess. I want to play a game that's been play tested. So I can understand why we choose those decks over other ones.
Yeah.
What an interesting topic, and what an interesting conversion, John, to see you in the middle of. Like, and it's really weird to sort of revisit that, because I've been really frustrated in the past, and I think I probably have, come off a little bit snooty, like, oh, that net deck, yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I think at that time I was running.
I saw the judgment. I saw that you have no honor.
So it took months, but it's soaked in.
It took Arkham to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because it was a solo, like, cooperative sort of experience that made you sort of start feeling that way. Like, I guess I started from where you're at now, which is like, I've got to do this on my own. That's just the way that you do it. And then I got to the point where it's like, man, they design these are labyrinthian. There's a lot to chew on and mull over. Like, I don't have the time to play several games and play this game. Like, this is a lifestyle game, and to be able to play lifestyle games as a casual gamer, I think that net decking, or at least using the collective intelligence of the human race by even just like talking to your friends and maybe getting what decks they're playing and stuff, I think that's the only way that you're going to be able to do that. And so if you come to a tournament with a net decked game, then you shouldn't really consider yourself anything but a casual player. And that's kind of the way that I feel about it, like,
sure.
That's the way I consider myself too. But if you can come to a tournament and you can win with a homebrew deck, man,
you deserve it.
Yeah, you earned that yourself. I mean, cool. And I would not claim that I'd done that much. I mean, I don't even remember, honestly, man. It's been so long since I got much to play. But yeah, what an interesting discussion. Andy, comments?
I was sitting here kind of thinking about my thoughts of it, because I don't really play deck construction games really at all. And I think this concept of the net decking versus the homebrewing is one of the reasons why I don't. Because especially with the co-op ones, Arkham Horror, Lord of the Rings was the only one I ever really started to get into. And I got to the point where, like, because Lord of the Rings solo, that's a hard game.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to the point where I felt like to get past some certain ones, I was going to have to start net decking. And then that...
Second scenario.
Yeah. And then I thought about it.
Man, that thing... It was so weird, too, because the first one was like, super easy. And the last one wasn't even that bad, but that second scenario, was that the Hill Troll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I guess I got to the point where, like, I was going to have to start doing that maybe. I mean, part of it was keeping up with the card pool, too. But
yeah,
once I got to the point where I was like, oh, I should look online how to do, I'm like, no, that's not even playing this game then. If I'm looking up how to do it online.
Yeah.
To me, that was the same as buying, like, a video game that all of a sudden became challenging, and I thought, oh, I didn't want to deal with this, so I just looked through the walkthrough on the internet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's cheating myself of the experience. And so basically it came to the point of, do I feel like I should do that, or should I just admit this really isn't for me? And I kind of went with this really isn't for me. I mean, my personal thing, but about going to tournaments with net decks and all of that is, and bear in mind when I say this, I'm inherently not a very competitive person. So, I don't have that super drive where I need to do well. If I do well, great. If I don't, whatever. But I don't know. To me, the idea of like a bunch of people all researching the best decks online and then just coming to play those against each other seems kind of sad. Like it just does. I'm like, what are you all doing then? Where is the skill involved with this? If you're all just looking,
it's the piloting though, Andy. I mean, it takes more than just that. Like they make decks, like if I'm ever going to play Magic, it would probably just be with one of those where they just make this deck that's playable as it is. You just pay like $15 for it, and then you can play that against this. I mean, it's kind of like the same idea as like Summoner Wars, or there's other games that take on a similar sort of like you play this deck against this, where pre-construction doesn't have to be a part of the game. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to do it. And I think that net decking is the way to avoid pre-construction in a game that allows it.
Yeah, I don't know.
The main thing I would say here is trying to be the voice, like to speak for Trent, even though he can't be here, is that if anything, I think Trent's of your mind there, Andy, because like at least evidenced by his actions, because usually he'll kind of hint when you're playing at something, some sort of a deck he's been cooking up. And then when he finally like shows up with it, it's nothing like any of the net decks I see. And it's always really interesting and has some really cool ideas he's playing with. And some are better than others, but like I definitely think like there's a level of like creativity there that I don't even claim to have ever possessed in my life. And I think that to come at it from the more analytical stance like I am, like net decking is sort of, I guess, part of what gets me prepped for actually trying to homebrew. Whereas with Trent, I think he's just totally cool with, going in with a deck and losing terribly and being like, well, I made it, fine.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is the point about using it as a crutch till you get sort of the meta and the ideas under you. Like, I understand that part. It's the part where you're like, well, I'm going to a tournament, so I have to look up the best deck because I must be able to win. Like that's
competitive play. I mean, that's just people in general being dumb and being competitive. I'd say in dumb, but we're, we just have a much different spirit in general, I think that comes from being like more board gamers than, card gamers. Like we're people who say we play all kinds of games and not, I'm a Magic player, because Magic, like you say I'm a Magic player, people just assume like you're competitive, and you're going to do whatever it takes to win. And that means, how is it different, Andy? Here's a question for you. How is it different if I listen to a podcast where every time a chapter pack comes out, they look at all the cards, they say what card they think is good, like they rate every card, they say what builds it fits into, and I find that very entertaining. And I used to do that a lot, and I need to really get caught up. How is that much different than net decking? Like I'm still like, the difference is I guess I'm putting it together, so it's it's more like I'm taking information from sources and then I'm, synthesizing it all. But I still think, like anytime that you just talk with somebody about the game to a certain extent, you're getting help with it. It's no longer pure. Andy?
I hear you, Joe.
Andy hates me. Andy! Uh-oh.
Did we lose him? Yeah, he's sitting there in quite the...
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, there he went.
Is he's coming back? I'm sure he'll jump back on here in a minute.
Sure. Yeah, but he even stopped watching the YouTube.
I kind of had to do that. Like, I think that was a little bit too much for my connection, so...
Oh, really?
I had to close out of it because it froze up for me and was no longer loading. So.
Oh, well, then there's other people watching that I didn't know about.
Well, yeah, maybe. Hold on. Let me check. Make sure.
Somebody stopped watching at some point. But...
Yeah, I can't follow it. I don't know if I'll be able to do that while we're doing the hangout.
That's fine. I'm able to do it, and I can watch the live chat. So.
Cool. Yeah, and if you could say anything that people say. I mean, so far I just saw Zach.
Yeah.
Being sweet.
No, Andy. He can hear me, but not you, Joe. That's weird.
Wow, weird. And we can't hear you at all. Like, you might want to say that since he can hear you.
Yeah, apparently we can't hear you at all. Not apparently. We can't hear you at all.
Well, neither of us can.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Apparently. Do.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to remember to tell Josh around the 58-minute mark.
Here, yeah.
He's coming back.
Okay. I just
there he is. There's Andy. Okay, 58-minute mark here. Let's see here. Yeah, thanks, John. I see you got it. Okay, cool. Well, that Andy, did I just cut off abruptly, or did you start to respond and then?
No, it cut off after a bit. I could like see your face moving and I could hear John, but I couldn't hear anything you were saying.
Strange if you're getting my video feed, but not my voice.
Yeah, it was an odd, weird thing there.
Yes, it was very odd, weird. The main question was, where do we draw the line between what's net decking and what's okay, and what, like where is the purity? Because like if I listen to a podcast where they analyze every single card, and I do this every single time a chapter pack gets released, is that just the same as net decking? Or, the fact that I'm actually putting the cards together, like what do you think?
Well, for me, I mean, if you're listening to podcasts about strategy, that's kind of a different situation.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, I was wondering.
I've listened to a couple podcasts early on about Age of Steam, and they would give hints of like, hey, you want to be looking ahead to your 5 routes. Hey, you really want to pay attention to the production board, not what's on the board to start with. So those kind of tips and stuff I think are fine. And I think, like I said, net decking to kind of figure out how the game works makes sense to me. I guess for me where it just falls apart and I don't understand it is that Uber tournament level where everyone's making essentially the same 1 or 2 decks to play in the tournament because they want to win. But like I said, that to me is potentially just a personality issue. Like I'm not competitive. I tend to avoid tournaments just for these reasons that, I don't like dealing with that kind of thing. I prefer to just play something. If I win, great. If I don't, as long as I had a good time, that's all that matters. I don't have that desire to win and avoid losing. Like that doesn't affect my enjoyment of something.
I think, Andy, it's a way for casual players to compete at a higher level is what net decking essentially is. It's your tournament level players that are actually good are not going to be net decking because they understand that if you're net decking, you're playing a deck that people have had the opportunity to see and prepare for. And that straight up, like rarely are you ever going to win a tournament on a net deck that's at any level higher than like your store championship, your regional local guys. And I mean, it's just you're not going to be competitive there. Much of the game is knowing what weapons your opponent has, and if you know card for card what's in their deck because you've played against it. Because if you're a good player, you will try out your homebrews against these, tier 1, as Jonathan says, decks. I mean, it's not a winning strategy, I don't think either, but it's just a way for you to be able to show up at a tournament and have more fun beyond the initial, like, I played one half of a game, realized my deck sucks, and then sat there. Like a lot of people just walk out, right? At that point, they're just like, I'm screwed. I'm not going to have much fun here.
So you're saying net decking is like taking performance-enhancing drugs?
Yeah,
kind of.
Kind of it is. Yeah, I would say that it's definitely
an apt analogy.
But I don't think that net decking is going to help the pros though. So I don't think that it's really performance enhancing drug is that great. I would say that it's more just like
performance enhancing drugs at the high school football team.
I guess giving yourself I wouldn't call it even an unfair advantage, so to say. It's just that like you're playing a deck that's already is going to be good.
It's like taking Adderall before playing League of Legends.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
It's not going to improve. It's just going to make you pay attention really good.
Yeah. Well, it's going to make every time you get a card, you're going to be like, oh, that's nice. That's what a great card. So I think I could see like with Magic with wanting to do it because you could, like you said, find the most affordable tier 1 deck and then play it. As opposed to like, sitting there trying to build your own and be like, all right, what's the price tag for all this? $2,000. And is it going to be good? We hope so.
Word.
Yes, the struggle is real. And now we're going to hype games. So let's go ahead and get our hype section kicked off with a little bit of wargaming from Andy.
Yeah, so I talked about in our HeavyCon episode, I ended up winning giveaway. I don't know. Giveaway is what we'll call it. In the giveaway, I ended up with a copy of Conflict of Heroes Guadalcanal. And I just got done reading through the rule book today and the intro to the Firefight book, kind of leading up to when you would play your first games. Got everything punched out and sorted and all that kind of stuff. And when I kept it at HeavyCon, I'm like, I know this is kind of like a very intro level war game. And I kind of went with the attitude of, well, if I go home with it, great. If somebody offers me an awesome trade, I'll take them up on it. Whatever, I'll be happy either way. The reason I found I was going to be happy either way, but now I'm kind of a little bit more excited to try it, is like this feels a little bit more like a war game. Like the last thing, which depending on who you talk to arguably is or is not a war game, was Sekigahara. And while I thought the game was very mechanically sound, it just left something wanting. Like it just didn't feel like I was playing a war, so to speak, or something like that. So I guess after reading the rules to this one, I'm a little bit more intrigued to try it, because this resembles more what I thought of a war game as a war game should be. There's a lot of history involved with it, tactical setup, movement rules, line of sight rules, things like that. And so the reason I'm interested to try this is to really see if the wargaming aspect of the hobby is something I'm interested in. So I honestly don't know what my feelings toward this game are going to be after the first few games I play it. Like I said, I'm kind of dabbling in the war game world. I'm much more on the heavy economic side of the hobby. So Sekigahara just didn't do it for me for whatever reason. I'm interested to see what Conflict of Heroes offers and if that changes my view. So if I enjoy this game, I might go, hey, maybe wargaming is fine. Maybe I just need to find the right war games or something like that. Or I may end up playing this and thinking this is the most god-awful piece of crap I've ever seen. I don't feel like I'm going to think that way, but I might. And then I might just write off wargaming and be like, okay, you know what? I'm a heavy economic train gamer. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's stay in that side of the pool. So I'm interested in trying this to see what it does to my taste, whether I will like it or not. The thing I think that a lot of people who know me would wonder is the random aspect going to bother me? Because there is random in this game. There is kind of like roll to see if you hit or not. And there's mitigation factors for it and whatnot. And I don't think it will, because I also really like Phil Eklund games. And I'm really okay with random where a simulation or a trying to model a situation is concerned. Then random doesn't bug me so much. Where random annoys me is in a game where you didn't need random but thought you should throw it in there anyway. I don't know. I guess I'm just interested to see how I react to this game. Am I actually going to like it? Am I not? After reading it, it sounds interesting. But then again, I thought that about games before, and then I played them and hated them, or I played them and I loved them. I don't know. So I guess my hype is really not that I think this game is going to be awesome, but I'm hyping to see whether I think war games are for me or not. This seems like a little bit more true to the spirit of a war game than Sekigahara did. So I'm interested to see how it comes. And I will let you know in a later episode of The Good, the Bored, and the Ugly whether I am a war gamer or not, or to what level war gamers are okay.
An alternate dimension or alternate universe version of me is going on a 6-minute long rant on all the ways in which Sekigahara improves upon what war games should be over things like Conflict of Heroes. But this version of me is just going to say, war games are not for me. Good luck, Andy.
I I've been asking around about war games to get started in because I feel like I've been looking for a board game niche, and I feel like war games may possibly be that. I would like to try them, and I'd like to see if I am a war gamer. If not, I'm cool with that. If so, it looks like something I might try to get into. Unfortunately,
you should try Magic Realm. Like, that's the one. I mean, it's not technically a war game, but it tries to take the same sort of like, you know, just tons and tons of rules, and there's like a CRT for hits. And it's all about like there's tons of different heroes you can play as. It's all fantasy based. It's like an RPG in a wargaming, you know, like written by a wargaming, you know, wargamer.
Say war games more.
Yeah,
wargamer.
Yeah.
I guess, John, this one would be one that would be worth looking at if you want to try it, because the rules overhead seems fairly simple, and it's very like tactical level. So it's like these few guys against these few guys, like couple squads here, couple squads there, and the firefights should take about an hour, maybe in a couple hours for the big ones. Mm-hmm. So you're not investing like 8 hours in it to go, wow, this is not for me.
Yeah. And you know, what I would just worry about is, you know, I worry that too many war games are pretty much just Risk with a little bit more.
Where I mean, like that's what Axis and Allies is. And honestly, I think personally that your difference between Risk and Axis and Allies is fairly similar to the difference between Axis and Allies and ASL. Like it's just, you know, it gets more and more complicated.
Yeah.
And it's now
in the end, does it just
squad-based.
come down to the die roll?
But the story that's being told is really what most wargamers are into. They're usually very steeped in history. They understand the two different conflicting sides. And I don't know, like me personally, I loved A Few Acres of Snow. And I totally understand how passionate you can get about like when you're trying to fight this battle, especially for some reason. To me, I always want to be in a war game. I always want to be playing like the losing side. I don't know. There's something just like, you know, knowing that this battle is futile, that's got just, I don't know, like the champ. I guess maybe I'm a champion of lost causes, but like yeah, I am interested in that part of it. But that's not in any way the reason I ever sit down at a table with other individuals to play games.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I do with the Phil Eklund games. So I'm curious to see if that connection somehow makes sense for my brain in this connection. I don't know.
I don't know of many war games that are solo, though. I feel like the soloable nature of Phil Eklund games enhances your enjoyment because you're just kind of, it's like almost like you're studying your own content matter as a science teacher. And in other ways, I mean, it's not just about science, obviously. There's other things going on, but and other topics he's tackled. But I just think that the thing is, you're going to have to get together with somebody else, and it's going to make the experience more cumbersome. I guess maybe I'm just being pessimistic about it. I have played Conflict of Heroes. It's better than what I saw when I saw more complicated CRT style ASL games, though I never played them. I just had them brought to my house and explained to me. I mean, if you're going to like it, maybe you'll like this one, but I feel like if you do like this one, you're headed for ASL at some point, Andy.
Nah, I think that'd be hard because ultimately I like number crunchy more than anything. And anymore, like if a game starts approaching the 4-hour mark, I'm like, I could just be playing 1889.
Well, at that, we will move on now to I'm going to talk here because I wanted to finish on John's because I'm interested based on his little blurb there that he's made me excited to hear what he's going to say. I am very excited to be playing a playtesting copy, a work in progress version of an expansion to Steampunk Rally. I think it is one of the most underappreciated games that's out there right now. And I'm really looking forward to what good old Oren Bishop is going to add to this game that I thought was able to somehow take all these very advanced mechanisms, make them come together in a well realized, not only well realized, but just like very rich theme, and still make it accessible, very playable, and it does something totally different than any other games out there in the market. and I still and it looks great too. I mean, obviously secondary things for me, but I'm really excited to see what new concepts he's adding in Steampunk Rally's expansion. Now, yeah, well, go ahead.
No, I mean, outside of the theme that I am not the hugest fan of. I mean, it's still a fun game. I mean, it's Mario Kart, the board game, just with
That's what I say. Yeah, Mario Kart, kind of the Euro game in a way, but
yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And it's got quite a bit going for it, and I like it.
It actually is kind of like Innis when you think about it, because you're drafting 4 cards, and some of those cards really upset people when they don't know them. I'm trying to wonder why Andy just cracked up the middle of that. Like,
I was thinking like the particle beam being used on the first round.
Oh, yeah, there were ways that was just kind of a trolling move. It was just kind of like, well, we're all screwed, everybody equally, so fine, whatever. But like the thing that I enjoy about it is more that it's I would say more like the thing that I really like about it is that it does have that next level. Like Innis, you need to know what all those cards are. There's 17 of them. Here in Steampunk Rally, there's 3 different decks with 40 cards each. And no, there's 4 different decks, and each of them have 40 cards. So there's 160 cards, but many of them are duplicates. And really, like, there's only about 6 to 10 of them that I would say maybe even less than that, maybe 5 or less cards that you need to know exist. Because if they get played, and you had no idea they existed, you're going to be upset. And that's what people think of as like the blue shells. So to me, they're the next level of understanding in the game. They're one where if you're all learning it together for the first time, it's just kind of silly and stuff. But once you all know the game, you know that this is what the designer put in here to make sure that people aren't just making this unmanageable machine that makes them take their entire turn just to try to get all the dice and everything. Anyway, good game, great use of dice, modern dice game as I like to think of it. Cool tableau building and then tableau removal. And like Jonathan said, somehow all that, and it's Mario Kart, and it has to do with scientists. It's not just about steampunk; it's also about like the scientists of that time period. Very, very cool idea.
I'd still say, yeah, it's one of the better racing games I've ever played.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like,
all right,
over Formula D any day.
Yeah. You know what? I would rather play 1889 than I would play, let's see, Monopoly.
And there's our transition for the night there, ladies and gentlemen. We much appreciate that. Thanks, Joe.
Here you go, John. Tell us about, well, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is a game that Andy would absolutely die if anybody ever, like, I seriously want Andy to walk into a game where all like 5 of us that are all good friends, good like heavy gamers in the group are all sitting down at a table with a game of Betrayal at House on the Hill out, ready to be played. There's one open seat. Andy's there, and we just all like watch him. One person invites him, and the rest of the table looks at him and just expects him to sit down. Like, I just want the pressure of the room to force Andy to just swallow all of his train gaming pride and then have to play this one after Dominion, of course. All right, John.
Hold on.
Tell us about
hold on one second. I am going to have 2 files here for some strange reason. My everything decided to mute and
you're muted right now. Can't hear you, dude. Cannot hear you, John. You are muted right now. It's showing that you're like clicking mute and then unclicking mute. Okay. Good news. Good news here, John. This is turning into an excellent episode. The good news is that the YouTube live feed, we can extract the audio from that. I'd actually ask if you would try to see what best way to do that, because last time when I tried it, it was difficult for me to do. And between you and Nate, I feel like, especially with Nate's expertise, you could probably figure out how to extract an audio file from a YouTube video. But I still can't hear you, man. I feel like the next thing we're gonna see is here on this this video feed, we're just gonna see John lift up the webcam and his computer and everything and just like slam them down on the ground, and then it'll just go blue. The screen will go, well, black, whatever. Can't hear you now. No, I saw you. Mother, father. All right, he's coming back. I thought he mouthed the words mother, father. Did you see that, Andy?
I think so.
I didn't know his parents were coming over.
Check, check.
There we go.
There you are, John. All right, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to have 2 separate files for Josh.
Okay.
So.
Everything
Okay.
just decided to mute. Well, sir, you are about to tell us about the new developments there at the Betrayal on House at the Hill design team.
All right, so let me preface this
Exhaustion.
by saying I am the resident Ameritrasher. We all know this.
I'm prepared when I throw up.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
I am the resident Ameritrasher. We all know this. We all love this. People like me because if we were all the ones that had to combine Captain Planet, I'm Mati, I'm Heart. That's just the way it is. I see that face, Joe.
That's the I don't get that reference face. Is that a Power Rangers one?
No,
You're
Captain
Planet.
Young, man.
I'm not that much younger than you guys.
Apparently you are. Which is actually, although I will point this out, and I know this is going on the podcast, and I think this is going to hopefully want people to watch the YouTube videos. If you could see people can now see what my office looks like, and it is just filled with Power Rangers paraphernalia. Like, there's just like a Dragon Zord, just at least 3 different spots just in profile. So people know that's how much heart I have. Anywho, I preface it with this. I will now say, why are they making a Dungeons and Dragons Betrayal at the House on the Hill? Why? For what reason at all? And I'm going to give you the reason why. It's cash money. And the reason why it's going to make money is because D&D has had a major resurgence lately. And it's because of Twitch streams and YouTube streams, things like Critical Role, Nerd Poker Podcast. I mean, things like that have got more people playing D&D. D&D has become a bigger thing. But Betrayal is not that good of a game to begin with. It was fun when you first get into the hobby. And if that's as far as you're going to get into the hobby, all you're going to hear is people that say, I loved Betrayal on the House on the Hill. Sure you do. That's all you've played.
Oh man, there's been like 3 or 4 people that have walked into our game nights for the first time and just like, they will just, before they've played any other games, they will just start talking about why they think that Betrayal is the best game that's ever been made, period. And
Sure.
That's all that matters. So,
and you know what? And I get it. We know I love theme. But Betrayal is just like the laziest dungeon crawl available.
Yeah, there's
really
no point to the beginning of the game. Like, and you have no choices really either.
Yeah.
So the first half of the game is entirely choice free.
Yeah. So with that being said, this is my hype. I am not going to buy D&D Betrayals of the House on the Hill.
So you're hyping your own being your own thriftiness here?
Just kind of no, it's not even thriftiness. There is no space on my shelf for this game. And I don't pay for games for the most part. I work for my games in the sense of I work for trade credit. This is not going to get my time in multiple ways, be it the time to work, to get the game, or the time to actually play it. I've played through Betrayal. I don't feel the need to be able to do it in the Underdark or anywhere in the Forgotten Realms or wherever they're going to put this. I don't feel that's going to add anything to the game. I will say this, though. D&D is also, or Wizards of the Coast is also making Dungeons & Dragons board games to go with the new modules that come out from now on. I also find that to be a cash grab and stupid, but I am going to buy the board games because they come with miniatures that I'm going to use if I run those modules, or just miniatures to have from the Monster Manual, because those can be cheap. And also, if I don't ever plan on running that module, I'll run through the board game and see if it plays out like the book says. So that's kind of where I'm sitting here with WotC right now. I just, once again, why? Just why is my question and my hype. I'm hyping the word why.
Well, and here's my problem with it. I would play Betrayal, the regular game, over the Dungeons and Dragons one to begin with, if I was going to play any of them. But here's the thing. Why in the name of God would you put it in stupid Forgotten Realms when the obvious choice was Ravenloft?
Well, okay. Yeah, see, right? Right?
You had a gothic horror setting tailor-made for Dungeons and Dragons. And you're just like, no, Baldur's Gate. That's where this game needs to be.
Oh, yeah, I think I get it. Yeah, because Castle Ravenloft would be like sort of this big, sprawling castle.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can easily
I get it now.
Yeah, no, you can very much easily turn it into that. And that's what Ravenloft is. That whole module is just horror-themed.
Exactly.
Yeah, you should have done that. But no, because people have either A, played Baldur's Gate, or B, have read the Drixit novels, that's why they're doing it. It's pandering is exactly what
name recognition.
Yeah, it's exactly why they're doing it. I mean, that's the sad part. It's like you can't even get the dang theme that would have fit the stupid game to begin with.
Yes. Yes.
It's a game, sounds like a game that was designed by a board of directors and not by an individual, not with like the passion and love that goes into somebody who's actually a fan.
It would be like if somebody made like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective with a Cthulhu. Oh wait, they did that. No, I'm kidding. I don't care.
Oh, Andy, that's the better version of it anyway. They pieced together. Yes. In an alternate universe, I go on a 5.5-minute rant about this one. But to make my hype, my second hype, I guess, in answer to this question, the question for me is when? The answer is now. It's time for this podcast episode to end. Any final comments, guys? And I'm your host, Joe Sallin. I've been joined by...
Watch Kitten Academy.
Okay. God. I've been joined by Joe Sallin, joined by...
Andrew Dennison.
And Jonathan Pierce.
Have a great week of gaming, and catch us next week here on The Good, The Bored, and The Ugly.
Woot woot.